How to do speech therapy at home? Prefer any other technique developed in childhood. Acquiring how to express clearly, both in terms of how you talk and the expressions you choose, develops over many months and years. Some children commence chattering away early in toddler, while others continue the strong and speechless category until they're more prosperous with sermon habits. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, most kids commence speaking between 1 and 2 years of age. 1 By age 2, most children have a substantial foundation of words to work with. Think ball, dog, mama or dada, cup or eat, and are often setting words together into 2-word topics and verdicts. If your offspring doesn't seem to be receding within the extent of natural conversation, it may not be an indication of a dialogue or speech delay, but it also may be reasonable to begin connecting in some simple speech activities with your kid. At-home speech therapy can be particularly useful for children who aren't easily disheartened and who have only reasonable hesitance or manifestation omissions, said Massachusetts-based pediatric speech therapist Alyssa Gusinoff. More significant troubles, like speech, should be brought up with a licensed speech therapist. Here is a guide to performing basic speech therapy at home with your child, from the first steps through pursuing outdoor assistance. Evaluate your preferences. There's no justification to go it alone when it comes to speech therapy if it is helpful in your society that can help you. First, you should talk with your child's pediatrician if you feel that your child has a speech hesitation or manifestation problem. A pediatrician can share developmental climacteric for speech and let you know if your child is striving. It's important to know what's developmentally reasonable for speech and what's simply parent preferred, Gusinoff said. Parents without a pediatric knowledge may not understand that 4-year-olds don't require the R-tone yet. Jeff said that many societies give timely intervention assistance for children who aren't yet school-aged. If your child is already enrolled in school, your community may assign a dialogue therapist who can help you, too. Don't be shy, ask around to see what's available. Much assistance is provided free of payment for town citizens. Evaluate your children. If you've agreed to try at-home speech therapy, either rather than experienced assistance or, perhaps, while you wait for a therapist to become available, what works for your kid will depend on various aspects. Age. Younger children will have a hard time concentrating and focusing on anything you call therapy. You can try to maintain aspects of leisure and glow, but a child too insufficient to comprehend he's making speech omissions may not be conscious of fixing them. Older children can be more encouraged to boost their speech because it means they will be better understood by companions and custodians. Personality. Again, kids who are not easily disheartened are more inclined to work on speech with a parent. Kids with a low frustration understanding may view therapy as an unfavorable understanding. Type of speech involvement needed. There will be different techniques for therapy. If your child has a speech delay, they have far more irregular words than they should at their age, versus manifestation trouble, they make a T sound instead of a hard C sound. Coexisting conditions. If your child is simply behind in this one area, it may be susceptible for you to slowly reach them up over time at home. If a speech problem occurs along with another developmental condition, like autism, you may want to pursue experienced assistance. Experiment with at-home methods. Once you're ready to develop along, you can try a variety of reaches to help your child enhance their speech. Here are some of Gusinoff's favorite techniques. Stop anticipating your child's needs. It's enticing, we know, to jump for what your child needs whenever they just point at it, but doing so doesn't motivate them to use their words. Give them a likelihood to ask for the pretzels, Gusinoff said, rather than pulling them as soon as your child points to the closet. Minimize pacifier usage. If your older toddler or preschooler is still using a pacifier, it can be very hard to shatter the habit, but it's also very hard to speak with a pacifier in your mouth, so continuing to use one when speech is developing can impede the technique. Offer choices. Instead of saying, "What would you like to drink?" ask your child, "Would you like milk or juice?" A child striving to build terminology will boost from learning the choices and being able to assign one, rather than being expected to pull the correct word out of thin air. Increase visibility. When you say the name of an object, hold the object up towards your mouth so your child sees your mouth move. Gusinoff approved. This develops an unexpected visual relation between the issue and the way the word for that object is created in the mouth. Play games. Take turns repeating words to each other. Example, I'll say apple and then you say apple. Ready? Apple. Your turn. Peekaboo games also motivate speech by maintaining a child's interest, as do hiding games. Jeff said hiding objects around the house, like hiding small objects inside Play-Doh and keeping objects reserved inside compartments, can motivate kids to ask questions, make exclamations, and request assistance. Prompt and withhold, within reason. If your child is striving because they barely haven't had a lot of alternatives to practice several types of speech, you'll have to learn to get pleased with making them feel mildly uneasy sometimes. Don't raise your child to the threshold of tears, but it's okay to pause or hesitate to see if your child can eventually solve their problem when they desire sometimes. For example, Gusinoff said you can help your child put on one shoe, then get up and walk away. Does your child demand you to get your interest? If so, ask him what he needs. You know the answer, but pretend like you don't. The goal here is to enable your child to convey for himself, rather than always being sure you do all the talk about. Make lots of observations. Now that you're spending devoted time at home on speech therapy, it's important to start following your child's progress. Jeff said it's easy to ignore or dominate where your child is beginning when learning a new skill, meaning you can minimize the proportion of progress they've made. Keep a record or log so you can visually pursue your actions. Jeff also recommends paying attention to what words you can understand from your child compared with what a grandparent, for example, and a total stranger can understand. There will be differences between those three metrics. You can understand 75%, your mother-in-law can understand 50%, and a stranger can understand 25%, but there shouldn't be enormous gaps between each tier. According to Nemours, most people, regardless of how well they know your child, should be able to understand the majority of your child's speech by the time they turn. Know your restrictions. It's important to understand that you may be able to guide and boost your child at home, helping to improve much-needed skills, but you may not be able to correct more important difficulties without experience. It's one thing to help your child say his D and B sounds more clearly, but it's another thing to instruct him how to form more complex ones involving the tongue or back of the throat. If you've attained the threshold of what you can provide for your child yourself, try not to take it as a personal offense. Instead, do what you can and then reach out for more help. Your child's pediatrician is a great place to start. They often know all of the local help and can point you in the right way. For better health and well-being, keep watching and sharing. For more videos, subscribe our YouTube channel Wear Your Energy and press the bell icon.